so that tomorrow it becomes easy for you all to learn about insects. So the presentation that I'm going to do is more of a what is trivia about insect world. And the way I have presented this trivia is in a using analogies from our world. Okay, you will understand what I mean when I do the presentation. And I'll be also emphasizing on, say, if anybody who wants to know about insects or want to learn how to identify them, so how they can begin. So I'll be giving those kind of tips also. So if you're interested, you can note down, because that might be not there in the presentation. So allow me to present my screen. And while the presentation is going on, if you have any questions, I would suggest you can drop your questions in the chat box. Once I'm done with my presentation, I'll try to have a look at those questions. And my colleague Pratik is also there. He may also help with those, because the moment I do share a screen, I may not be able to see you all. You can see my screen.
Yes, ma'am. We can see.
Okay. So this name of my presentation is Insect Mania, which is like head over heels in love with insects. Now it seems to be a very exorbitant statement associated with insect, but let me tell you that all those people who have got into insect world have actually experienced that once they know about them. Therefore, the title is Insect Mania. That I'm going to show you, or I'm going to teach you the art of falling in love with insects. Okay. So I'm assuming most all, since you all are attending the session, you are interested in insects, and I need not ask these questions. How many of you dislike insects, which is my usual question if I am addressing a gathering? So the presentation is going to cover all these topics. As I told you that I'll be covering topics related to, analogies from our world. So something like that, insect Olympics, insect industrialists, what kind of warfare insects use, what kind of vices insects have, and what's finally the insect role, and how to study insects. And whichever is the starter slide, there you will be finding one insect looking at you. Okay. If you can identify the face of the insect, because I'm sure you know more of the insect by its entire body layout, but here is a close up of an insect. So can you just um, tell me who is looking at you right now? Yeah. Any guesses? You can
Some
give
kind
me.
of wasp.
Is it a kind of wasp? That's right. That's right. And who is this? Who is starting the introduction session with you?
It's grasshopper.
Grasshopper. That's right. You can see now the grasshopper is actually smiling. Okay. Insect kingdom, as you all know by now, that they are the largest animal forms found on the planet. And that explains that why you can find insect in every nooks and cranny. I do find insects everywhere. I find in an aeroplane, I find in a restaurant, in a lift, even in a hospital. Maybe it's just that I can see them, so I get to see them anywhere. So insects are just that they are found in all kind of habitats, because they are of different shapes and sizes, and they can be accommodated at many. They don't need lots of space. So that's the reason the dominance is there on this planet. So most of the life forms which are found on our planet, 3/4 of that is an insect. So that's a diversity. In India, this numbers is very, like, I would say, rough estimate, but our numbers must be much higher. As I said, 59,000 is just nothing. Okay. 59,000 is just nothing because if I put together our moths, our moths itself will be 15,000. So 59,000 is a very conservative figure. It's just that not much of research has been done in making a checklist of insects. So that's the reason these numbers haven't gone up. In the recent years, of course, there have been discoveries and it is going on, but still, we don't have a figure something the way we talk about birds, the way we talk about mammals or reptiles, and so on. So, in order to know insects, you need to know their relatives first. That who all are there in the family community of this insect. So, one of the simple rule which this community share, or a simple feature that this community share, is segmented body. The body parts are always segmented, mostly the legs, especially. They are multiple jointed and they're segmented. As you can see, all animals here, they all are having segments. So that is a sign of a group called as arthropoda. Yeah, so the arthropoda is the group to which all these relatives belong, and insect belongs to one of them. And that group to which insect belongs is called insecta. Every other group has a different name depending on the legs, like centipedes and centipede. Millipede is called myropoda because it is having multiple legs. Centipede comes under the group called decapoda because it is having less than 100 legs. And then millipede is there, crustacean is there. This they come under crustaceans. The pill millipede. This is, or woodlouse, woodlouse, and the prawns, then the lobsters, crabs, they all come under the group called crustacean, or also called, so they are called decapoda, not the centipede is not under decapoda. These are decapoda, means 10 legs. And arachnida, which is having 8 legs, the spiders, snakes, mites, scorpions, they all belong to that category. An insect category is a 6-legged animal. So it's a very simple definition of an insect. 6-legged animal. I always say 1 leg extra or less is not an insect. So if you try to look at the history of insect, that they were, of course, they were here many, many years ago, even before the vertebrates, that is the backbone animals actually ruled the earth. We all know about dinosaurs. So during the dinosaurs time, we had a dragonfly which was as big as a crow. And eventually the size started reducing. It is a survival of the fittest policy, where whichever animal is able to survive is able to escape the predator's attack and is able to procreate. So the same genes of of evading the predatory attack is passed on, and that's how a dragonfly which was as big as a crow has reduced to just few inches. Now what we see is just because it's a natural selection. If you know about the evolution principle, that whatever part gets, like, we have appendix, a body organ, because it is a part of the primitive, or what you say, non-functional tail. We have stopped using tail. So the tail is now represented in our body as appendix part. So similarly, so it's a natural selection part. So in the natural selection, the species, how it actually evolves and it tries to adapt itself, that's how it starts changing. And that's how, and it takes, of course, thousand years to their change to happen, not in just few generations. And there are some insects which haven't changed. So cockroaches were there then and cockroaches are there now. Maybe that time the cockroaches were larger and now the cockroaches are smaller. But cockroaches are very much the same. They haven't changed a bit of it. I'm going to say the morphology or the way they are, the internal, the physiology, all remain same. And that's the reason they say that this cockroach can survive a nuclear war also, because it has survived so much of changes on the planet, so it can survive further changes. So besides 6 legs, what else makes an insect? 3-tier body, I call. A body divided into 3 segments, that is head, chest, and abdomen. If you look at a spider, its body is divided into 2 sections, head and cephalothorax, which is a fusion of chest and abdomen region. So that is another thing you should, when you look at an insect, you should see whether the body is divided into three parts. Secondly, they always, like I said, six legs are there in the adult stage. As a juvenile, they'll be having multiple legs also, which will be not real eggs. They'll be like a false eggs. Like in case of caterpillar, they have false leg and the true leg. And another thing that actually one should really look into it is that when you see a baby grasshopper, it is actually a baby of a grasshopper. So you can make out that the parent looks like the baby. So when that happens, it undergoes an incomplete metamorphosis. When you see a caterpillar, it is not actually telling you whether it is a butterfly or moth. The moth and butterfly look so different from the caterpillar. So they undergo complete metamorphosis, which means that there is an intermediate stage which is called pupa, into which a caterpillar changes into an adult. So that is where, in absence of a pupal stage, it becomes incomplete metamorphosis, and in the presence of it, it becomes complete metamorphosis. Now let's look into the insect Olympics. So the heaviest of all the insect is called as a Goliath beetle. It is not in India, it is an African beetle. The tallest is a stick insect. It is found in our country. Our smallest is also a beetle. So you can see the heaviest and the smallest is a beetle. So these are just records I've just drawn out. There is no Guinness record holders. Okay, this is just, as I said, analogies that I'm using. If there is a competition of longest tongue in the insect world, the Darwin's hawk moth will be the one, because its proboscis is nearly 25 centimeter long, which also says that it is capable of pollinating a flower whose nectar, or the tubular corolla, what you say, the flower's tube, should be that long. And why it is called as a Darwin's hawk moth? Because when Darwin saw this orchid, you can see this orchid over here on the left hand side, he saw this orchid and he speculated that there could be an hawk moth who would be pollinating it. So he searched entire his lifetime and he couldn't find. 25 or 30 years later, when Darwin passed away, the other researchers found the hawk moth who was actually pollinating this orchid, and that's how the name Darwin's hawk moth. These are very tiny insects. You will get to, if you have pets, you might see them. These are the fleas which are present in cats as well as dogs and other animals also. So they are flea. The flea is a very tiny insect, but it has an ability to jump almost 150 times its own body length. If we were supposed to attempt this feat, we can't do it because our body can't take that kind of pressure and it will just break into pieces. It's like that. So the flea is the highest jumper. Weightlifting competition, if it's there, the ants will be the winner because they can lift 50 times more their own weight. And again, we can't achieve even what happens, like one ant is able to do it because the ant is having multiple joints, like every leg is having 4 knees. So 6 fours are 24 knees. So the weight gets distributed on all the knees, and that's how it is able to take on the ship. And if there are water sports, these are the 3 water insect. One is a boatman who will win a boating race. One is a back swimmer, that is a back swimmer bug, and one is a scuba diver called as water scorpion. Now, scuba diving and back swimming is something not we invented. It was invented by insects. They were already doing it. And if there is an egg laying competition, the queen of the termite queen will win the race because she has an ability to lay more than 30,000 eggs in single day. And she also have another tremendous ability of storing sperms in her body as long as she's alive. She can survive for nearly 50 years inside the termite mound. So it's a long living insect, you can call. Now we come to the after from the sports की दुनिया से अभी हम business की दुनिया में जा रहे हैं. That is insect industrialist. And who is this? Who is looking at you?
Dragonfly.
Yes, dragonfly. If you look at a dragonfly, the face of a dragonfly, I always say it has a face full of eyes because there are two eyes. One is this, and one they're like on a semicircle, and they're occupying its entire head region. And you see this antenna, this tiny antenna over here. So the rule is, if you remember that when we had our mobile phones, those phones were so big, so heavy, and now when the with more technology advancement, our phones started they started becoming more slimmer, lighter, and so on. So antenna is also something like that in insect world, where the antenna indicates the length of antenna indicates the primitiveness of an insect. If you look at a cockroach, the cockroach has a long antenna. Why? Because it is a primitive animal, and since it is a primitive animal, it hasn't done the advancement. The advancement hasn't happened, and the antenna size didn't change. Now, what is the benefit of having a long antenna? Because the insect can be away and to send the antenna ahead to sense the environment. But if it is adapted to sense the environment without the antennae, then it is an advanced insect such as a dragonfly. Therefore, dragonfly's antennae are smaller. So, we were not the first to invent the paper as well. It was done by the paper wasp. I'm sure in no textbooks this has been taught. Otherwise, we always feel this is our innovation. This is not our innovation. The innovation was done by this wasp long ago, because they chew they scrape the tree bark and chew it and make a paste out of it and stick to a surface to create a nest. When a bark paste is actually getting like smooth and dried up, it forms a type of cardboard, and a refined version of the same becomes a paper. So the cardboard box is what, and after the first doing it, so the credit goes to them. We are not the first to grow our own plants also, of food. So the first farmer on the planet was an ant. That is called harvester ant. You know this harvester ant hill. Most of you would have encountered it in Maharashtra. But what you see on the top of this ground is a terrace basically. Asli building to underground hai. The real building is down, and it is having multiple floors. One floor of every nursery section, one floor is the worker section, one chamber would be a king, the kings and queens are staying in that royal chamber, so and so, and one chamber will be storage, storing all the food and all that. So the entire building is below, and unlike us, we enter our building from ground floor and enter from terrace. So the circle what you see in the right in the center is from where they enter, and these structure, this concentric line walls what you see are the protective walls, which one is that water can't enter the structure directly. Secondly, even from here, from the top, if you see, you can't see through it. There is immediately turn. So there's a floor immediately, and there's like a staircase. You can imagine circular spiral staircase. So you don't see anything. So again, it is covered from the top. Okay, why they are called harvester? Why I'm saying that they are the first farmers. One, they are the ones who started gardening, and what they were doing gardening, they were growing fungus gardens. They were carrying fungus and growing inside their nest. And where they were growing it, they were growing on the seeds that they used to collect. Some of the seeds they used to chew and turn into a bread kind of thing, a dough. And on the dough, they used to allow some fungus to grow. When the fungus is to grow, it is to release some vitamins. So it's like vitamin supplement for them. Yeah. And when they also what they milking, like milking of cows. So they milk aphids. Aphids are a bug whom the ants keep on tapping, and it secretes a sugary solution. So this is about the farming part. The harvesting part is very interesting part. So these are the ants start making the shelters. From monsoon they start making the shelter, this nest they start making. And by winter they'll start collecting all the grains which is there in the vicinity, and they store inside. And they also know that if they take a grain and they take it down inside the ground, this it will start germinating. They don't want the seed to germinate, so what they do, they remove the cover, the seed cover. So they remove the seed cover. When they remove the seed cover, there's too much of husk that is created. So what they do, just like us, कचरा बाहर फेंक दो, घर के बाहर फेंक दो. So you will always find a pile of husk, which is a seed coats, which is basically piled up by these ants, and that's an indication that there's an active harvester ant hill close by. And these seeds, after removing the seed coats, some of the part is eaten into a bread form, like they chewed and kept in a bread form, and some of it is allowed to grow where I told that fungus garden. Some of it is allowed to grow. So that's how they store the seeds, and therefore they're called harvester ants. Honey is still an animal product. There's nothing first and last. We are not making honey. We are just manufacturing honey by through apiaries, like by making bee colonies, and we are harvesting that way. So the honey is completely an animal product, and technically we should be not eating this product. And it is not a vegetarian, okay? It's not a vegetarian product. It is a non-vegetarian product. So all vegetarian who may think that it is a vegetarian product. No, the dilemma is that whether milk is a vegetarian or non-vegetarian food. The same dilemma is with the honeybee, because the honey formation is happening because of the nectar and the pollen collected by the bee in her mouth, and she comes to the hive and she vomits out the entire contents into the cell, and that mixture, when it starts losing moisture and solidifies into a very thick syrup kind of thing, like the way honey looks, that is a honey, and it is actually a bee food. We should be not eating it. It is a baby food for the bees, their babies. So we should be not eating it. And one should be really suspecting if there are honey production happening at such a large scale, whether it is a Dabur or whether whichever company who is doing this honey production. We should really suspect them, because it is not an industry. Honey production can't be an industry because it has been done by honeybees. And you can't demand कि इतना honey बन जाना चाहिए महीने के end में. You can't demand that from a honeybee, right? So obviously there's a good amount of adulteration is happening, or all what you get is just a sugary solution, which is just brown in color. You never know. So honey, real honey, it can't be available in such large volumes the way it is sold today. Wax is again an animal product, a bee product. It is a nest construction material for the bees, where they make their hives with the wax. And where is this wax stored in the body? The wax is just like saliva, which is inside the body, and it is an adaptation of salivary glands inside the bee's mouth, which is holding the wax liquid. The moment this liquid comes in contact with the air, it solidifies, and that's how the wax is formed. And it is used in pharmaceutical industry. So now let's come to the architects and the builders among the insect world. There are many, I would say, architects and builders in insect world, but I've selected few of them. The topmost is a termite, of course, because they have shown humankind that how to actually recycle their own waste, and not really taking too much of space for recycling or reusing your own waste. Termites do an excellent job of using their own shit and the soil. They use their own droppings as the cementing material to make huge structures like this. And these structures are very strong. They're like rocks. They're very strong, just like a rock. So you can't easily knock off a termite mound of this. So there are different types of termite mounds depending on the species. The height and the shape matters. And this one is the one tallest one. I had taken this picture in Dandeli, and you can see it's really tall because this guy who's standing in front of it is already a 6-footer. So this is nearly say 10 foot or less than 10 foot long, high termite mound. And the beauty about the termite mound, which is now being used in architecture designs, also in building designs, is that to create vents. So termite mound has a top vent and a lower vent openings. So the cool air actually comes from below and enters the termite mound, and the hot air inside starts moving up and goes out from the upper vent. So this is how the air conditioning feature has been there. And so this is the principle of air conditioners, which has been like inspired from termites. This is fantastic. I think it's the best of all. We are yet to make a light which is cold. Every light you go and touch is warm because energy is light. So now scientists are, of course, trying to do research to make a 100% cold light so that no amount of energy is wasted in form of heat. Fireflies can do it so easily. They carry the bulb and everything inside their own body. जब जरूरत है तभी लाइट लगाने का, जब जरूरत नहीं तभी लाइट बंद कर देने का. They know power conservation also. This is mainly done by the males. So this lightning, only 2 segments of the belly, abdomen part, only 2 segments are differently colored. When you see a firefly, ever get a dead specimen, or you try to see the underside of the firefly, there will be 2 pale belts on the belly. That is the lightning room of the firefly, and it is a mixture of just 3 items. There are 2 chemicals, and the oxidation of those 2 chemicals causes the light, and this light is having a flickering tendency. The number of flickers what one species can do is what is it can communicate to its own species. But there are females, so the males are flying and females don't fly. They're called glowworms. They're always they're on the ground, so they see the flickering frequency, say 10 flickers per second. So there will be a glowworm below who is also doing the same thing, 10 flickers per second. Matching ho gaya, and the male will come down and mate with the female. But there are some oversmart females among the glowworms. They may be belonging to a species which is supposed to flicker 10 times per second, but she can actually manipulate the flickering. She can make it 15 flickers per second. Then what happens? Wrong number. The wrong male comes to it, but she's not interested in mating with the male. She just eats him up. So in fireflies, males are poor guys. They are not feeding. Even if they feed on nectar. Whereas the females, they're predatory. They attack and eat other insects, and sometimes they eat other fireflies also. Another wonderful innovation by an insect, which we haven't done before. It is like, it's not that we did that, but insects have done it. Waterproof glue. I don't know if you have seen this photo. It was many years ago. People used to send me this photo, and then there is a hand photo with all the holes. They said, okay, if you hold this insect, it will have such holes on your hand. So that was all nonsense. This is an insect which is a water beetle, which is like a beautiful husband and beautiful father. Why? Because he is carrying his babies on his back. The females just laid all the eggs on his back. She released this waterproof glue. She sticks all the eggs, and the poor guy has to incubate or carry them till they hatch. And when all the babies hatch out, that's when the father dies. And the mother is nowhere. to look after. So parental care actually is not known in insect world, but this guy, I think he should be the number one father because he's taking care of this eggs. And if you happen to visit every time, I don't know when, but if you happen to go to BNHS collection, in the insect collection, they have a specimen with the eggs on the back. You can actually see it. Silk is again an animal product not made by us. It is only done by insects, especially moths, like the silk moths. So there is one silk moth, which is a China silk, which is a mulberry silk, which comes from China. But India's own silk is called Tussar, Eri, Muga. Three types of silk we are having. So all these three silk are belong to a group of moths called silk moths or emperor moths. And it is also, I would say, killing of the cocoon happens here. The cocoons are put into the hot water, and nearly in case of tussar silk moth, the cocoon may have nearly 1 kilometer long or more than 1 kilometer long thread, which is taken out and made silk. So silk is very expensive now, we know, but it is if you can avoid, because now there's so many other fabrics options we have, so we can always leave the silk moths aside. So coming to the food industry now, we saw the sports section, we saw the industry, different kinds of industry. When it comes to development food development in nature, it is completely the job of insect, especially those which we call as cash crops. Think about apples, then oranges, then pomegranates, then all expensive vegetables like your lady fingers, then all cucumbers. All this is a produce of the plant for sure, but because of the pollinator, which is an insect. So they are making food available for the entire ecosystem. Insects are making that happen. Of course, there are pollinator in terms of birds, mammals, other life forms, other animals also do it, but nobody can match the proportion what an insect can do. And among the insects, the honeybee is the topmost pollinator. She pollinates almost 70 to 80% of crops. So therefore, you can imagine that how important an honeybee is to our day-to-day life, because these guys are making the food possible on our table. Not that we are going and buying it from the market, but the insect has made possible so that the vegetables and the fruits can be sold in the market, and we buy it and eat it. So we should have an appreciation for that. Therefore, I said, why loving insect? Because a majority of people dislike insect. But when you come to this part of this favor, this service of an insect world, that they are making our food possible, I think we have no choice but to love insects. There's no other thing you can do with an insect. Yes, you can respect them, you can honor them, but yes, no, you can't dislike them, you can't hate them. It is almost like like अपने ही पेट पे लात मारना, because your one who are producing food, you can't really dislike them. It's like that. Okay, so even in management, if there are business management schools, the way we are having, so there are such schools for business management schools in insect world also, and who are running it? Termites, ants, honeybees, paperwas. All these are social insects. Social insects. Insects which learn to live in large numbers. I can imagine the kind of harmony they maintain in fulfilling the common goal. Unlike humans, हम तो अपने पड़ोसी के साथ कितनी बार झगड़ा कर लेते हैं, right? We don't have that tolerance level, or rather we don't have the systems to really operate. But if you look at an industry, or the industry is the how the entire workforce is operating, similarly this is already done in insect world. Like as I said, all the management lessons were also like well studied or coined by insects first, then we learned later on. The job division, the work division, funda of an insect, especially honeybees. has helped people to actually learn how to organize work and get it done. In this case, the best part is no questions asked. An order has been given, काम हो जाना चाहिए तो हो जाना चाहिए. कोई सवाल नहीं पूछेगा क्यों क्या, nothing. The job has to be done. It's almost like they all are robots. But the job gets done. The colony survives, the colony thrives, the colony gets food, the colony gets protected. In every season, nobody else is actually protecting them. They themselves are protecting themselves. It is because of this management systems that they have. And who is governing this entire? It is a queen who is governing. It's always female who is ruling the colony, not the male, not the king. So the queen is a king in this community. And the females are more powerful in this community than in any other. Males are actually non-existent. Like in paper vase, there are no males born. Why? Because the females learned to have what is called virgin births, which is called parthenogenesis. Eggs they can lay without mating with a male, and those eggs will hatch into females. It's very fascinating. There is a book in BNH's library on social insects, or any other book if you find on social insects. Try to read. They are really fascinating group of insects. This is just my ये सब मेरा I have made this. Okay, if you go and search ना Google करोगे तो आपको ये सब information नहीं मिलेगा. I just said I'm using analogies. So the analogy is that if you try to look at an insect world, what kind of services an insect world is offering within their own for themselves. So it's a gender selection of that. Females have a choice to choose the gender of the baby. Isn't that amazing? We humans couldn't do that. Like females can't decide that मुझे लड़का चाहिए कि लड़की चाहिए. No, but a queen can decide whether she wants a male or female. How she does it? I don't know if you have seen the Ants movie very carefully. There is this one scene where the queen is actually blessing the babies. She's telling male, female, female. In real life, what happens is that the female is holding the sperms in her body. When a sperm is released to be fertilized with the egg, that's when the male is born. If she lays eggs without the fertilization of the sperm, then it is all females. So that's how she can select the gender of the progeny. I already mentioned you about the virgin reproduction. Again, it's so unheard. Like other animal forms, not so much. So this is something which only lower animal forms can do. Higher animal forms, it's not possible. Sperm storage, I told you a termite can hold on the sperms, and the sperms are viable for such a long time. That's amazing. Then they have a fantastic ability to suspend their metabolism. It is like, okay, आज बहुत ठंडी है, चलो खाना नहीं खाते, चलो सो जाते हैं. Okay, बहुत गर्मी है, temperature are very high, there's no food around, चलो सो जाते हैं. For every extreme situation in their life, they just take a nap. That is where the cold and summer sleep, that is estivation, hibernation concepts came in, and they can suspend their metabolism. And their hearts actually, this is applicable to all the animals who do this, and the hearts are like the heartbeat goes very, very low, but they can suspend and they will not die. Like if you put an insect into a freezer, and it sounds very cruel, but I'm just giving an example. You may think that the insect will die. If you take out the insect after 2 days, within an hour or so, the insect will become normal and it will fly off. What had happened here then? When we kept the insect in the freezer, there is something called in the blood of an insect called antifreeze cells. So the antifreeze cells become active and it holds on to the all vital organs from freezing. It doesn't allow freezing to happen. So the essentials, the body organs don't get frozen. And the moment we bring it to the normal temperature, they all become active and they fly. Of course, if you keep the same insect for a 1 week long time, then obviously it will die. Autotomy is a feature of self surgery. You would have seen this or experienced this. A grasshopper, if you're trying to catch a grasshopper, the grasshopper का पैर आपके हाथ में नहीं है, grasshopper चला गया. How, what happens in a fraction of a second? This all happens. So you can imagine that what really happened. Like, okay, you went, you held a grasshopper, and what you see is a leg in your hand, and it's just a matter of few seconds. And within that few seconds, what happened? That so the legs only in grasshopper. Not all animals can do this. All insects can do this. So in the leg, especially the large legs of the grasshoppers, they're having what is called line of weakness in the thigh region. It's called. So whenever there is a danger, whenever the animal knows that somebody has holding me by the leg, the line of weakness become active, and it gives a command to the brain that stop the blood supply to this part of the body. And the moment that command comes in, there is a sheath or a skin kind of thing that just covers that entire wound. Blood connection is blood is disconnected, no blood supply is there. And this sheath just covers the wound region and the leg is gone. No bleeding, kuch nahi. I would say it's the shortest surgery that happens in the world, and we haven't reached anywhere closer to it. We can't really master. We think insects are such a insignificant animals because just they are very small. But look at the feats actually. Look at the abilities. I just last week, like 2 weeks back, I got the news that now US is actually working on a vaccine for malaria. All these years, vaccine was not possible on malaria because the life cycle of insect is such a short that mutation or change in the gene makeup can be so fast and so much changes can happen. Like you know that uh, the hit the hit version keeps on changing. This pesticide. Now you have a yellow hit, kala hit, lal hit. Three colors are there. Yellow is for I think termites or ants. I don't know. Red is for cockroach and black is for mosquitoes. अरे कोई एक ही यूज करो सब मरेंगे. So the ignorance is so much in common man that even pesticides companies know that. इसलिए आपको अलग अलग 3 कलर का हिट बेच रहे हैं और हम तीनों का तीनों स्टैक करके रखते हैं कि मैं इसके लिए ये यूज करेंगे. इट लुक्स वेरी फैशनेबल बट एनीथिंग दैट किल्स एनी इंसेक्ट बिकॉज द बेसिक प्रोटीन स्ट्रक्चर द basic physiology of an insect remains the same. It doesn't change, so it will kill it anyway. So that I'm just giving you uh, I'm just trying to make you think the negative power of an insect. Like a insect can actually cause so much damage to our crops. They can cause so much of illness to our population, especially malaria. 2 lakh people die almost every year. So there's so much of negative power that an insect has, and also a positive power. So it is like a superpower with whom we are dealing. So how do you deal with a superpower like that? You deal by coexisting, not by fighting. Okay. This is the last section of the insect musicians, I would say. So they are not loud. The sound in nature was generated by insects, of course, not from mouth part. The mouth part sound was first done by a frog on the earth. Crickets, grasshoppers, cicadas are known to create sounds, and they use different body parts to create the sound. And like grasshopper play rubs the legs and the wings. Cricket rubs the wings on the back. Cicada chest actually inhales, exhales, and that's how the sound is being created. And there are two tough plates on the chest which actually vibrate. So different songs. All these songs are not meant for us. It is meant for the partners and one partner. And within the grasshoppers also or crickets also, one song will be only heard by their partners. The other partner can't see. जैसे वो fireflies में cheating होता है ना, तो वैसे cheating में नहीं होता है. Okay, they said नहीं. मेरा गाना सिर्फ तेरे को सुनाई देगा और किसी को सुनाई नहीं देगा. It is a monopoly, that kind of thing. Okay, so that is what insects' ability to create sound. And there is a field of entomology called forensic entomology. You can actually Google forensic files, entomology files of cases that have been solved using insects as a medium to solve a case. So there are many such cases that will fall because insects actually lay eggs in a dead body, and their life cycle stage actually tells at what time, when, and whether the insect is from that locality or not, or so on. Lot it's like kind of very creepy to go through these files. I did that, and I couldn't really read all the files. But if you are interested, you can actually go and look up. It is not developed in India. It is still a foreign. Like in US, it has been used. Okay, now what kind of warfare insects are using? And this is the uh, close-up of who is saying "खा जाऊंगा, काट जाऊंगा." Who is this?
This is an ant, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Is it one person are you telling me, or because I'm not hearing other sounds? Okay, that's and one of the best, like, ahimsa, I would say, non-violent strategy of insects is that be invisible to your predator. You are there, but your predator can't see you. So how is that possible? That is possible because of mimicry. You all know about blue oak leaf, that how it is looks like a leaf on the outer side and inside is blue color. You know about like these caterpillars which look like a twig. You know about stick insect which looks like a stick. And where's the stick insect, by the way, in the picture? Anybody? Where is the stick insect in this picture? I want others to respond.
Is under the twig, like in the dorsal, ventral side of
This
the
one?
stick.
Yes.
The last one, not the below it.
This
This
one?
one, yeah,
This one is a stick
yeah,
insect.
yes,
Everybody agrees that this is a stick insect. Hmm?
Yes.
You can imagine that it is a stick insect. Or is it this one? Yeah. Which one is the right answer? Like whether this one is a stick insect or whether this one is a stick insect. Horizontal or vertical?
Horizontal.
Huh?
Horizontal one.
Everybody agrees horizontal?
Yep.
Okay, okay. You all got it right. Now answer my second question. Where is the head? Head of the stick insect right में है कि left में है? You know, stick insect has a habit. साष्टांग नमस्कार करता है वो हमेशा. You know, साष्टांग नमस्कार full. The front legs will always be ahead of its head. Where is the head and where is the tail? Or tell me the head. Automatically tail पता चल जाएगा. Right hand side
Right,
or left hand side?
Right
right
hand
hand
side.
side.
Okay, everyone feels it's right hand side.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that's a right answer. Okay. Now, एक तो ग्रुप है जो बोलते हैं बच्चा पंगा नहीं लेने का, बस झगड़ा वगड़ा नहीं करने का, बस इनविजिबल रहो और अपनी जान बचाओ. पर दूसरा ग्रुप ऑफ एनिमल्स है जो बोलते हैं नहीं हम पंगा लेंगे, हम झगड़ेंगे, हम मारेंगे, काटेंगे, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे. We will not. No ahimsa. Out of it. No ahimsa. Ahimsa नहीं चलेगा इधर. Who are this? So they are the ones who can bite. They are the one who can sting. They are the one who can spray hot chemicals like this bombarded beetle. The hairy caterpillar can give a bad itch because every hair is a potent weapon because it's a having chemical. Then the bee has the ability to sting. Wasp can give a very bad sting. And so this is like the biting group of insects. जिससे डर के रहना चाहिए. These are the ones you have to keep off. You don't have to go closer to these kind of insects. Now, कुछ तो बुराइयां होती है सब में. तो what are the vices of insect world? So who is this now?
damselfly,
Huh?
damselfly,
Damselfly. Who is the other answers?
Praying
Mantis.
mantis.
Mantis, yes. Damselfly's face is like a eight shape होता है ऐसा. Horizontal, tubular. ये है triangular. Triangular head is of a praying mantis. Right answer. What are the vices? Vices ये है child labor. We probably learned child labor from them because here the ants use their babies like a glue stick to make the nest. It's a weaver ants. This is a glue stick. They press the baby and the baby secretes the silk, and with that they make the house nest. Mafia system. क्या है मैं तुमको प्रोटेक्शन दूंगा तुम मेरे को हफ्ता देना या you give me the reward or you give me whatever. So that started with ants. Ants go to the all insects which are actually doing bad work, like wrong deeds, such as sucking the plant juices. So all the bugs they keep on sucking the plant juice and they need the protection. And ant says, okay, हमारा हाथ तुम्हारे सर पे है तुमको कुछ नहीं होगा. So what does the ant does? The ant is actually constantly covering them. So nobody dare to go to closer to them. And what is the reward or what is the hafta an ant gets is basically the sugary solution what the insect is actually secreting. There are cuckoo, like just like cuckoo birds, there are cuckoo wasps and cuckoo bees also who lay eggs into other insect holes. And instead of the host baby, the cuckoo babies are the ones who hatch out. Guys, just give me one minute. Just give me 1 minute. I'll just come quickly. Sorry, friends. You can hear me?
Yeah, ma'am, we can hear you.
Okay. So one of the vices was of the which we talk about the ants. The mosquitoes are the what we call them vampires, and as all you know that is the female mosquitoes who are actually take the blood, not the male. and they are also doing it because they have to lay eggs, and for laying eggs they need protein which they get from our blood. And now, as I said, I'm talking about this negative power of insect world. So the famine creators, locust, at one point of time were capable of causing famine in drier parts in the central India, where they used to come in large numbers, that they can eat away anything that is green. So the crops used to be destroyed because of them. Still, this kind of thing, but now it is controlled in a more controlled manner. It happens. There were actually a swarm of locusts 2 years back, which passed through Mumbai. Uh, Flies, um, I always say that flies come to your home by invitation. If there is a food that is left unattended, if there's anything that is there which the fly likes and it is available in your home, then they come. So they only come by invitation, and they have the shortest lifespan. So the fruit fly is having still shorter. That's the reason the fruit fly is used in the studies of genetics. And housefly life cycle is just nearly less than a month, and it can, within that span, it can actually transmit some 30 known diseases. Cannibalism is also known from insect world, and we all know about the praying mantis story. Now, this is not applicable for every praying mantis. It is only certain species where the female eats up the male while mating itself. So here is a picture, and if you've seen the movie 9 Months, where they have used this analogy to really to really show that how the hero, he's getting worried that his wife is pregnant now, so what is going to happen, so he's imagining this scene. So they have covered there. Slave makers, there are ants who do this. They attack other ants colony, they kill the queen and take the uh, workers, soldiers as the slaves. Now here what you see, the black colors are the one who are the slave makers, and the red color one are the slaves. uh, I call it as a kitchen maid because it's usually always present in our kitchen. And I always say that if you want to get rid of a cockroach, you need to address the three requirement what the cockroaches are depending on. One is that they like warm places, which is our kitchens. They like a place where there's a food is available. That is the dustbin which is there in the kitchen. They like darkness. So again, if you see the basin space, the below the space beneath the basin is always dark, it is wet, it is moist, it's humid, and food is also available. And the dustbin keeping, people keep the dustbin under the sink, and under the sink is the drain pipe that goes out. So from the drain pipe, the seed, the babies actually come in, and then they grow big in your home. So if you want to get rid of cockroaches, one is that remove this food supply. So remove your dustbin from the sink area, keep it in the open, keep it dry, keep it illuminated, or keep it outside so it is not darker, and don't put any food items in your dustbin. That's where you have to do composting. So if you do that, then cockroaches will reduce. And if you can tolerate few geckos here and there behind your tube light, they'll take care of your cockroaches. And lastly, there is the insect called Ivanid wasp. She's a tiny insect that comes to your home when she senses a breeding cockroach. So instead of knocking it her out, allow her to enter your homes. Like when I see a Ivanid vase coming to my home, I open up all the cupboards, all the drawers, because that's where the cockroaches lay eggs. So if you're piling up newspapers for a very long time, that is or newspapers, cardboard, all that. Of course, it's good that you are trying to recycle, but recycle it sooner. Don't hold it for a very long time. That cockroaches will start breeding there. So wherever the dry areas are there, that's where cockroaches breed. That's where they lay eggs. Cockroaches lay eggs. And the Evanid wasp knows that, and she goes and parasitizes that egg so that the cockroach is not, the baby is killed, and what the baby that comes out of the egg is an evanid vase. This is my last slide, which is basically talking about the insect role of the insect role that they have both in nature as well as in our lives. We already discussed that they are the food makers, but they are also food providers. Like if three-fourths of life form is an insect, so you can imagine that how much of protein is available in nature for birds, for reptiles, for mammals, for frogs, everyone. Yeah. So bird people who are fond of the birds, they should really thank an insect because the insect food is what the birds are eating. And even if it is a granivorous birds, the babies are fed by insect food only. The babies are not fed with grains or fruits. No, they have been fed by the insect. Like a sparrow will not eat insect herself, but she will feed her babies with caterpillars. So they are food providers. If you remove this entire three-fourths of life forms from the food chain, our food chain will collapse actually. So they are the ones who are maintaining the balance, and we should allow them to do so. Pest controllers, we are I would always say that 90% insects don't cause damages, 10% do. But isn't it still a good deal that you get 90% benefit against 10% losses? It's still a good deal. We can deal with termites, we can deal with cockroaches, we can deal with mosquitoes, flies, we can deal with them, right? Rather than tarnishing the entire insect world just because of this four bad insects, we can't tarnish the entire good work what insects are offering to nature. So we should really appreciate that. So for what is there for us, like what role insects might be playing in our life? One is that they have the aesthetic value. All photographers, all artists, they are fascinated by the color combination, the pattern, the shapes, the designs, everything that you see in an insect is so fascinating. It's very creative. So most of the creative people actually like to see this, use that in their work. It's an excellent topic for scientific research because there's so much to study about insect that one lifetime of one person of for one group is insufficient. I'm dedicating my life to study moths, but I don't think so. I'm going to study all the moths in my entire lifetime. So so much of is there to study. We need more people to study them. So it's an excellent topic for taking up scientific research rather than going and studying the same things which are already done, like birds, mammals, trees. They are all thoroughly documented. There's nothing new left in them. This is where the things are still new because they have been not attempted. So anybody who's interested in research, they should look at insects and they'll give you lifelong satisfaction. You know how? Because they'll always keep you on your toes. There'll be always a suspense and it'll never die. Unlike, like, okay, you achieve something. No, insects will keep on like intriguing you that to find more, to research more, to get more information and so on. Like they kept me engaged for almost 15 years. Then I wrote up my book on moths. 15 years they kept on intriguing and 10 years I spent studying them. So total 25 years of my work resulted into a book. So you can imagine how much intriguing that what they were doing with me, that I had to like spend such a long time, and yet I don't have all answers with me. Yet I don't cover all species in my book. They're just close to 800 species, which is a very small section. Yeah. Now, of course, I want to write the second volume of my moth book, but as I say, it's too much of work, and one person alone can't really do it. So therefore, we need more and more people getting into it. I already mentioned about how insects are supporting pesticide industries because insects are causing damages, therefore pesticide industries are flourishing. But if we learn to coexist with an insect, we can do away with pesticides. We can grow our own food in an organic manner. It is only when a large scale food production is happening that's where pesticides are required, that's where chemical fertilizers are required. But if we can grow our own food, whichever way, whatever smaller supplements you can put your food, I think you are reducing your carbon footprint and you're also somewhere saying no to the pesticides. And this is again, the last one is mine, completely my thought. It is an inspiration for Hollywood movies. Many Hollywood movies have taken inspiration from insect world. You have seen the Alien movie, right? So in the Alien movie, the alien is coming out of the human body. So this thing that a life form is emerging from another life form. inside the body. That is a metamorphosis which happens in any insect that is undergoing incomplete metamorphosis, like a grasshopper, like a cicada, like a cockroach. So there is one living form, the juvenile, which grows big, and then the time comes the adults to crawl out of it. So the skin behind the back opens up, and the adult actually walks out. Exact the same scene has been captured in the Alien movie, and so many other movies they made based on insect concepts. Of course, Bollywood can't do it, so we should only, if you want to learn anything about entomology, I think Hollywood is still better bet. So we used to have these courses. Currently, we are not offering it, but I think by next year we are planning to start these courses. We have nearly 6 courses. Two of them are on insects. One is bugs for beginners and butterflies for beginners. So when we start, if you are interested, you can take up that course. Start insect photography and look up for bigger insects. So if you want to learn about insects, go for bigger insects. Go for butterflies, go for moths, then go for beetles, then grasshoppers, then dragonflies. Dragonflies. So bigger insects are easier to identify, and you'll easily remember, and it can keep you motivating for finding more. So don't start with teeny mini insects, because you'll just lose your patience, because insect study needs lots and lots of patience. Yeah. So don't test your patience with that. Go with the one which is really beautiful, nice, attractive. Go with the easy things, and then get into the deeper one. And there are many Facebook groups which you can join to learn more about insects. I just mentioned the groups over here. And if you have any insect identification query, you can drop into write to us about it. We'll try and help with the identification. So that's all. That's another was saying tata, bye bye, good night to you. So thank you, friends, for today's for being with me, and sorry for the interruption in between. I stay in a bungalow. I don't stay in an apartment. It's a very big one. So somebody was at the gate. So I had to really go down and check who is there. So it just took some time. Okay. So let me see if there are any questions. I'll take your questions. And I think on dot I stopped. Okay. If there are any questions, then I can attend. I don't see questions over here. Okay. Thank you. I see your comments over here. But if there are any questions, you can ask me directly now. I can take few questions. And I will really appreciate if you all come online on camera, so that I can see you all. And we can also take a picture. Harsh, where are you? You're in a garden. Okay, any questions? Any questions? You can unmute yourself and let me know. You can ask your questions. Yes. Thank you for opening up your videos. Conduct such sessions the way I'm doing. You have to be, what I say, I call myself as a power of attorney of insect world. जिधर भी जाओ insect का propaganda लेके जाओ. So I keep on talking about why it is important for us to love insects, and I just keep on doing that wherever I go. So keep on defending insects, and that's a way of constantly telling people, and they'll remember you. You know why? Because that's ऐसे लोग बहुत कम हैं. People who love insects and people who talk about insects are very few. So you will become famous like in no time. How you think I became famous? It's just because of insects. I'm not known so much for my other works. I'm just known for my insect, just because I keep on talking about it. And many people haven't heard many people haven't heard people talking like me. So therefore, people remember me. They will say, "Oh, मैंने वो कीड़ा देखा तो just आपकी याद आ गई मुझे बस." Yes. जब भी कोई कीड़ा देखो मुझे याद कर लो और क्या मेरी identity वो हो गई. I'm happy with that. And people keep on sending me, "शुभा ये कौन सा कीड़ा है? ये क्या है?" Many years ago, they would have come with me on a trail, and they still remember me just because of the insects. So I'm really thankful for this identity which I have got of a bug lady or insect lady, whatever it is, I think that entire credit goes to the insects. And it is only because I keep talking about insects in the positive manner and I keep on defending them. I think they don't need any defending. They are doing a great job for the society as well as the ecosystem. It's only that we have to appreciate it. So that's my answer. Gaurav, keep talking about them, how great they are. So I am also, I should say that I am very inspired by Steve Irwin of his style of talking about things which are not that popular, things that are not that glamorous, but just by talking about it, the way you talk, the way, the kind of adjectives you use to describe wonderful, beautiful, handsome, gorgeous, these terminologies. When you start using these terminologies, that is what sets you apart from the rest, that you are seeing an insect from a different, your eyesight is view is completely different. So I have taken those inspirations and I've been using that, and I use that in my all my sessions, and that's what people remember actually. How I explained them about the insect, how I described an insect to them with a very positive perspective. That matters. So you start doing it, you'll become popular. And if you start studying insects, you still become popular, because people who study insects are very few people. They become anyway rare species. So you can be one of the rare species. Yeah. Any more questions? You can ask me directly. We'll take few more. It's now 8:12.
Ma'am, is there any book which we can refer? Means, if anyone wants to start with learning about insects and all, so are there any field guides or something like that for the beginners to start with? Means the one you would recommend.
Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, no. I'm planning to write one, but I don't know when that will happen. But unfortunately, so that is a sign. When you go to a library, okay, or when you go to buy books, कौन से टॉपिक पे ज्यादा बुक, कौन से टॉपिक पे बुक्स ज्यादा है और कौन से टॉपिक पे बुक्स नहीं है, that is a sign that which is understudied subject. So therefore there is not a single insect field guide for our country. In fact, my book, Field Guide to Indian Moths, is the first field guide of free India. Okay, in India, you can imagine we are from past 75 years, nobody thought of writing a book on moths. Why it is so? So it is the same story. So insect world are suffering with this kind of stepmotherly treatment. कि एक है कि बोर्ड के ऊपर किताबें लिखी जा रही लिखी जा रही लिखी जा रही, एक का नहीं, नाम चेंज करके कर रहे हैं, कॉमन नेम चेंज करके कर रहे हैं, क्या फॉर्मेट चेंज करके कर रहे हैं, कितना करेंगे? जहां नाम चेंज करने की नौबत आती है ना, समझ जाना कि इट हैज रीच्ड सैचुरेशन. दिस इज माय फंडा. Any species that has reached to a stage of renaming, classification, so I won't say, because DNA barcoding is changing the entire classification, but renaming की common name अभी ये नहीं ये है, scientific name अभी ये नहीं ये है, वो आ गया तो इसका मतलब है कि study saturation की तरफ जा रहा है. So it is good. People who are doing it, fine. But I'm just saying, if you want to be that odd one out, you want to stand out in what you're doing, कि लोग कुछ भी करते क्या हो, क्या 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 करते हैं insects में? Like my mother used to ask me, like, really, what do you do with these insects? You bring these caterpillars, you're away in the night studying the moths, कहाँ कहाँ भटकती रहती. What exactly you do it? Are you getting money to do it? All that. And when I did my PhD on moths, and she's telling me, what should I tell? The neighbors are asking that what your daughter is doing, what did she do, what is PhD? So I had to tell her that, Mummy, tell them that I am a doctor of insects, not human beings, but of insects. So she goes, मेरी बेटी ना कीड़ों की डॉक्टर है. And like, कीड़ों की डॉक्टर? ये कीड़ों का डॉक्टर कैसा होता है? That the dialogue starts from there. So it is that it makes you so unique because you're pursuing insect. And I love that all attention which I get. I should not deny that. Yes, Harsh, tell me.
No, it's rather a personal question. Previously in the meeting, you mentioned that humans should not technically consume honey. So, do you yourself consume
No.
honey?
No.
Oh,
This is the bold part,
that's,
na?
that's yeah, yeah. That's good to listen.
yes, yes. We have to practice what I say. मैं खाती होती तो
Yeah,
sliding ही डालती थी.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. What else? What else? Any more questions? So the people whom I am going to meet tomorrow in the field.
Madam,
This. Yeah. Tell
madam,
me.
in our area we have photographing butterflies.
Hmm?
Hello. We have
Yes,
photographing
Aruna.
butterflies.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and and posted to our groups, and butterfly group is there, and we have posted some butterfly photos.
Hmm. Then what is your question, Aruna?
Hello. So, madam, we have already photographing butterflies.
Okay.
So that's our habit, and we have some research on that butterflies.
Okay. So Aruna, not to really disappoint you again. Again, see, um, 10 years back. 10 years back, the research on butterflies was also not that much. But fortunately, today they are leveling up with birds today because so much of study is happening, so many people are doing. So yes, so birds are also getting into that elite group में भी add हो गया है butterflies. Like वहां पे भी saturation आने लग गया है because people have started renaming the butterflies. So yes, if you get chance, Aruna, in your locality, if you start documenting insects in general, I think that will add more value to your studies, whatever studies you're doing. So if you try to document insect, including butterflies, of course, but so you will really contribute to science by doing your butterfly studies. You would be like, okay, it's a good study, but it will be not. You will not really contributing a greater amount of knowledge to that field because everything is like if you have Isaac Kemker's book, he's writing the second book also now. So between these books, everything gets covered. Everything gets covered. And then after his book, so many other books have come up. So many other people have started writing. So everything is getting covered. कोई भी केरला ऑफ बटरफ्लाइज ऑफ केरला लिख रहा है, बटरफ्लाइज ऑफ हिमाचल लिखेगा कोई, तो ऐसे मतलब एक बार बाइबल बन जाती है ना, तो ऐसे चैप्टर्स ऑटोमेटिकली बन जाते हैं. So what happens? It is good actually. It's a good sign that that topic is reaching to many people. But if you are interested in doing more research, I would suggest कि yes, butterflies को रखो focus में and
And
add
upload
some.
on butterfly by India Biodiversity website, madam.
Okay, that's
Upload
very
it
good.
in India Biodiversity website.
Okay, yeah. And if you want to really study butterflies also, I would say study in context of climate change. If you do that kind of study, then yet it will certainly add more value. So, friends, if there are any other questions left, then I will take your leave. And thank you for joining me today. It was fun talking to you all. I enjoy always talking about insects, and sometimes I have to keep the tab on the time because I get easily carried away talking about insects. So I'm glad today I stick to my time. So thank you once again for joining. And please, friends who are not from the naturalist training program, who have just joined just for knowledge, like for the interest purpose, may I request you to write a small review about I Need to Watch Foundation. You can write about us either on Google or either on Facebook or wherever you get a chance to write. Put a review for us. That will be really helpful for our work. Thank you so much and good night.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes, good night.
Yeah.